Hello everybody, this is the Junkyard Messiah, and today we're going to talk about Quantum V2 mods. Namely, the Quantum V2 has been a ubiquitous piece of hardware that a lot of people have used for a long time now. Ever since it came out, it was a very low price, easy entry set of goggles that you could get into and try and put something together that would work for you. The problem is that the Quantum V2s came with some very big drawbacks, which also kind of gave them a little bit of a stigma of being a bad set of goggles. They're not a bad set of goggles. They really aren't. They just need a little bit of tweaking. And I did a lot of these tweaks myself here, and I'm going to show you what I did and why it's kind of important, because once you make these mods will completely change the way you look at these goggles. And they're fairly simple. And this is trying to get into a piece of hardware that's going to be in the sub $100 category. So you can, that's including the receiver. But when the V2s came out, and they still unfortunately don't come with really good foam. They come with these stick-on foam that never stays stuck because heat, moisture, everything from your head will pull it off. And it just doesn't work. We'll just go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the mods and let you see why I did certain things and how certain things are set up on this. So the very first thing is that the V2 over the V1 was a longer box, and the reason they did a longer box was to be able to try and increase the focal length so people would be able to focus better. The earlier versions of the Quantum goggles, namely this particular model right here, was much shorter. And unless you had fairly good eyes, or you had young eyes versus us old folks who have old eyes, it was, you just couldn't use it. And even then, I ended up taking the monitor, the display, and offsetting it from the normal groove that it normally sits into, and moved it on to the outside, and then sealed it up. And gooped it up into place. That gave me another actual ½ inch, which actually made a big difference for me because of the issues that I had with my eyes and being able to wear glasses. Now, a lot of the other goggles that I've seen out there so far, although they're supposed to be glasses friendly, many of them aren't. Things like the Cyclops, although a good little product, a single receiver setup, unfortunately fit too snug to my face and really doesn't have any good padding on it, and you end up hating it because it just doesn't fit and you can't wear your glasses. And the lenses are fixed. You can't change the depth of the lenses. Now, I don't know if this is the same situation with the Quantum Fat Shark combination. It's got a yellow receiver, video display on the top, and uses a mirror to increase the focal length. But if it's a fixed lens that you can't change with, then it doesn't do a guy any good, because there's a certain limit to what we can do with our glasses and things of that nature. And if I can't take my glasses off, or I need to wear them with my glasses, I've got to be able to have the magnification that I need for this. So extending this out a little bit for us older folks who need these because we have special eyes, might be something that may be necessary for you. If not, then with the V2s, the big change that I really loved was the acrylic lenses that they came with. Now, that got us away from the Fresnel lenses that they previously used, but they still kept the same slider mechanism for these lenses, and they came apart every time. If you dropped it or whatever, the lenses would slam to the back and hit the display, or they would fall out, and it was a pain in the ass. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of the other mods I did and talk about the lenses here and how I've secured them in here so I can still clean out if there's dust or something gets in there on the display or on the inside. I can clean it out. But one of the key things about this was to change up the reflectiveness on the inside of this material. Now, this is a black plastic foam, but it's still very reflective, okay? And the display with that reflectiveness on the inside detracted from the video. I mean, it was very annoying. And you didn't get that black space around the video. You always had these other reflections on the inside. Well, I simply used felt. Now, again, you have that, and then you have that. So I lined the interior with a black felt. Now, one of the people said, hey, why don't you just use a black spray paint? Yeah, if you can find a black spray paint that is a water-based, because foam melts under a lot of different spray paints because they have a solvent in them. So, unfortunately, you'd have to maybe test on the outside a little bit to see whether it melts. But if you can find a flat spray paint, please put it in the comments if you found a flat spray paint that won't melt this foam, because otherwise you'll end up with a big mess, and it's just horrible. In this case, I simply used the black felt to cut the shine down, and it worked beautifully. I end up with a beautiful black space that is around the display, and I'm concentrating on the image on the display and not anything else reflecting around on the inside. Well, once you've felted the inside of this, the framework, and for those people who have these, they know that their lenses are in a black frame all the way around. Well, all I did is I put 4 pieces of the grabby side of Velcro on all 4 corners and wedged it in there. Once I had it in the spot where I needed it, I don't ever have to move it again. And it's in there good. So I can throw this into a box or whatever, and I don't have to worry about the lenses coming loose and flopping around in there and trying to find the pieces or something getting broken. It just works. Now, as you can see, I did a lot to make this a lot more comfortable, and it really wasn't as big a job as it may look. It's very simple to do, because all you need is something called green foam. Now, green foam is just a type of foam rubber that you can get for stuffing a couch or a mattress or something like that, and it's very, very flexible and has a good long lifespan. And from there, again, this is just felt that I've wrapped around. I glued on the inside edge, and then after I had laid down all my foam and had sculpted it and checked it up against my head, I then glued it on the inside, wrapped it around on the outside, glued it on the outside, and I ended up with something that not only conforms to my face, is extremely comfortable, but also conforms around the edges of my glasses so I get no light leakage. So it's pretty easy to do, and it's pennies to do this. Lastly, my talk cost $1 or $2, but a small 20mm CPU fan, and then to protect prevent light from getting into this, I put in a piece of plastic here that has vents on either side, and a combination of that with my cover. I don't get any light leakage off the fan, but I do get airflow that keeps my glasses and the lens clear during the winter and during the summer. It keeps me from sweating to death inside the goggles. So we're going to go ahead and pause this for a moment here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it all back together, and I'll show you the last little thing here that I think is rather important about where you mount certain things on this. Okay, so we have put our interior component to basically the glove that holds the entire thing. And what a lot of people will do is kind of something rather a little bit silly, but people don't know where to mount these things. A lot of people are taking their diversity receivers and putting them on the side of this. You really don't want to do that. You want to mount the diversity receiver up here, which all it takes is to put a little bit of Velcro on this top strap after you've gotten it adjusted, and just do that. So when you wear it on your head, you now have the full horizontal diversity setup, and it works. I mean, if you have it on the side, one antenna is always going to be up against your noggin. Our heads are full of water, and it just doesn't. Diversity simply doesn't work that way unless you were to be flying your quad. Your quad's flying over in this side, going in this direction. If you have it on the side, then you get your diversity again. So just mount it up front of the top here. It takes a bit of the weight off of the goggles themselves, puts it on your head, top of your head, and put your battery in the back slot that's in the back here. And it's very comfortable. Once I had gotten all of this done, I completely changed my feelings about the Quantum goggles. A lot of people hate them because of all the other problems that I talked about, but once you fix that, for a sub-$100 setup, I mean, that's receiver and the goggles, there you go. I mean, the fan is maybe $1 or $2. If you have one out of a piece of junk like I do, it's free. But seriously, I mean, it's just, it is a fantastic video quality for the price. $100, I'll put this up against any of the Fat Sharks except for maybe the HD Dominators. Because the video quality is there. I mean, it's really there. Now, again, there's a couple other products that are presently out there. Like I said, the Quantum Cyclops is a good product. It's not diversity. It's a single antenna, but it has a fixed focus on the lenses and no real padding. There's the new Fat Shark Quantum setup, which I think is like $170 right now. It does a lot of really cool things. I'll admit that the new Quantum Fat Shark head box assembly does some beautiful and very cool things. The problem is that the padding is not there. I don't know how it would fit with my glasses. I would love to get a chance to test that and see how that works. But if you're looking for the sub-$100 build, the Quantum V2s with the diversity antenna or diversity receiver is the way to go, especially if you get it mounted up right there. Now, I'll say another thing about Quantum receivers real quick. This is a great little receiver. If you can't afford a diversity at $70, get this one for $25, or I think it's maybe $25 or $30. As for gain, I mean, we're talking 90 dB gain, and it's just really, the receivers in these things are fantastic. There's very few times that I kind of expect this thing to switch back and forth between antennas. Normally I'll have a patch on this, but where I've been flying I really haven't needed to. But this does well on a pinch OLED screen. So I'm not trying to hawk everything Quantum. I'm just saying that for your money, you can get better than Fat Shark video quality for under $100. So there you go. Make those changes if you already have a set. Do these things and see if that doesn't change your feelings about them, especially the comfort level, especially when you get a lot of nice squish foam and it fits your head and you have the fan blowing across your eyes. It'll change your feeling about them. That's about it. I hope to do future videos here. I'm hoping I might be able to do a build video of this if people are interested. Have a great day.